I'm Vanessa, and I thought I knew every corner of my 15-year marriage to Mark, every quiet smile, every hidden note, every stolen weekend escape. But last Thursday, when he came home with a grin that didn't quite reach his secretive green eyes, I felt the ground shift beneath me. He promised a picnic in the wilderness, a getaway with his mysterious friends, and whispered it would be unforgettable. Now, as we drive deeper into an untamed forest, the air thick with pine and unspoken tension, I can't shake the feeling that I'm stepping into something far bigger than a simple day out. What did Mark mean by unforgettable? And what am I about to uncover in this secluded clearing by the lake? Picture this: a single, fleeting moment where the world seems to hold its breath, and I'm standing at the edge of something I can't quite name. That's how I feel right now, caught in a current of quiet excitement and unspoken questions. My name's Vanessa, and at 41, I've built a life that feels like a well-worn path, safe, predictable, but sometimes aching for a detour. I've been married to Mark for 15 years, a man who, at 43, still carries a kind of understated strength that drew me to him from the start. He's the type who doesn't say much, but when he does, you listen. And oh, those little surprises of his, impromptu weekend trips, hidden notes in my lunch bag, they've kept our spark alive through the grind of corporate life. We've carved out a cozy existence in the suburbs, both of us tethered to desk jobs that pay the bills but drain the soul. It's why we crave those escapes, those moments where we can just breathe. Mark's a striking figure, tall and lean, with salt and pepper hair that gives him a distinguished edge. But it's his eyes, those piercing green ones, that always seem to hold a secret, like he's seeing something just beyond my reach. I've caught myself staring into them more times than I can count, wondering what's behind that gaze. Over the years, I've crossed paths with his circle of friends, a tight-knit group of guys I've only met in passing at barbecues or holiday parties. I don't even know their names, just their faces. Laughing, clinking beers, always sharing some inside joke I'm not privy to. They've never lingered long in our conversations, just shadows on the edges of our life together. So, when Mark came home last Thursday, his face practically glowing with excitement, I wasn't expecting what came next. He leaned against the kitchen counter, a grin tugging at his lips, and said, "Vanessa, clear your schedule. This weekend, we're heading out for a special picnic in nature. Some of the guys are joining us." His voice had this edge to it, a thrill I couldn't place, and it sent a ripple of curiosity through me. I tilted my head, searching his expression. "A picnic? With your friends?" I asked, my tone light but probing. He just nodded, that secretive glint in his eyes sharper than ever, and added, "Trust me, it's gonna be unforgettable." Something about the way he said it made my stomach twist. Not with fear, exactly, but with a nagging sense of the unknown. I've always trusted Mark's judgment. He's never steered us wrong. Still, as I stood there, watching him hum to himself while flipping through his phone, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just another getaway. My mind raced with possibilities, but I brushed them off as my imagination running wild. After all, how many times have I overthought his surprises, only to find them turning out to be nothing more than sweet gestures? But this time, as the weekend approached, that little knot of uncertainty stayed with me, tightening with every passing hour. And now, here we are, driving down a winding country road, the hum of the engine the only sound between us. Mark's hands grip the steering wheel with a casual confidence, his gaze fixed ahead, while I stare out the window, watching the blur of green and gold as the suburbs give way to untamed wilderness. 2 hours we've been on the road, the narrow paths twisting deeper into the countryside, until finally, we reach a secluded clearing by a lake, so still it looks like a sheet of glass. The towering pine trees stand like silent sentinels around us, their shadows stretching long across the ground. I step out of the car, and the air hits me, cool, sharp, carrying the scent of damp earth and pine needles. The lake glitters under the midday sun, a stark contrast to the overcast sky that seems to press down on us, heavy with unspoken tension. As Mark shuts off the engine, I notice them. 7 men already here, standing in a loose circle near the water's edge. They don't move as we approach, don't wave or call out, just watch us with expressions I can't read behind their dark sunglasses. They're all dressed in near-identical outfits. Black or navy jackets, jeans, boots that look too clean for a day in the woods. It's unsettling, like they've coordinated this look, like they're part of some unspoken agreement I'm not in on. Their silence wraps around me tighter than the wind rustling through the leaves above, and I feel the hairs on the back of my neck prickle. Mark, though, seems unfazed, popping the trunk to grab our gear as if this is the most normal thing in the world. I clutch my backpack straps a little tighter, my fingers digging into the fabric as I force my feet to move forward. He starts the introductions, his voice light and easy, like we're at a backyard barbecue and not some eerie lakeside gathering. "Vanessa, this is Ethan," he says, gesturing to the tallest of the group, a man with a sharp jawline that looks carved from stone, his posture rigid, even as he nods at me. "And Caleb," Mark continues, pointing to a broad-shouldered guy with a jagged scar running down his cheek, a mark that tells stories I'm not sure I want to hear. "That's Ryan over there," he adds, nodding toward a lean, wiry man who shifts his weight from foot to foot, his hands stuffed deep in his pockets. The others, James, Derek, Noah, and Liam, blend together in my nervous haze, their faces a blur of stoic features and averted gazes. I mumble a hello, my voice sounding small against the vastness of the forest, but none of them respond beyond a curt nod. They don't even look me in the eye, their attention flickering between Mark and the ground, as if they're waiting for something to unfold. I shake off the unease, telling myself it's just the strangeness of meeting so many new faces at once, and follow Mark as he leads the way to a spot where colorful blankets are already spread out near the lake. The setup looks almost too perfect, like a scene from a magazine. Baskets of food, a cooler packed with drinks, even a small portable speaker playing soft, ambient tunes that barely cut through the stillness of the woods. I can't help but feel like I've walked onto a stage, everyone playing their part in a script I haven't read. We settle onto the blankets, the group finally loosening up a bit as they pass around glasses of crisp white wine and bowls of fresh fruit, strawberries, grapes, slices of melon that glisten in the muted sunlight. I take a sip of the wine, the cool, sharp taste hitting my tongue, and try to relax, letting the tension in my shoulders ease just a fraction. The men start to talk, their voices low and measured, but their words are frustratingly vague. I catch snippets of plans and arrangements, phrases that slip through the conversation like smoke, impossible to grasp. Caleb mentions something about timing being critical, while Ryan mutters about finalizing details. I strain to make sense of it, but it's like trying to piece together a puzzle with half the pieces missing. The atmosphere around us feels oddly staged, the laughter that occasionally bubbles up sounding forced, like it's been rehearsed. I notice the glances too, quick, sharp looks exchanged between the men, lingering just a little too long, as if they're communicating something without words. My skin prickles again, that same uneasy feeling from earlier creeping back in. I'm just about to ask Mark what's going on when Ethan, the tallest of the group, stands up and walks over to the cooler near me to refill his glass. As he passes, his hand brushes against my shoulder. A fleeting touch, barely there, but it sends a jolt through me, electric and unexpected. My breath catches, and I instinctively look over at Mark, expecting to see a flash of jealousy or irritation in those green eyes of his. But instead, he meets my gaze with a subtle nod, his expression unreadable behind a faint, almost knowing smile. My heart starts racing, pounding so hard I'm sure everyone can hear it over the soft music. This isn't a mistake. Mark knows something. He expects something. The realization hits me like a wave, cold and disorienting, and I'm suddenly hyper-aware of every detail. The way the wine glass feels slick in my trembling hand, the way the wind carries the scent of pine and something darker, heavier, like anticipation itself. Inside, I'm a mess of conflicting emotions. Confusion swirls in my mind, questions piling up faster than I can process them. What was that nod about? Why isn't Mark reacting the way I thought he would? Fear gnaws at the edges of my thoughts, whispering that I'm in over my head, that I've stumbled into something I don't understand. And yet, beneath it all, there's a strange curiosity, a pull I can't quite name, urging me to see where this is going, to uncover whatever secret is hiding just out of reach. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, terrified of the drop, but desperate to know what's at the bottom. I can't sit still with all of this churning inside me. I need space, just a moment to breathe and think. I set my glass down on the blanket, the clink of it against a small stone louder than I intended, and stand up, mumbling something about needing to stretch my legs. My voice sounds thin, unconvincing, but no one questions it. I take a few steps toward the lake, the cool air brushing against my face as I try to steady my racing pulse. The water is still, a perfect mirror reflecting the graying sky, and I focus on it, trying to anchor myself. But then I hear the soft crunch of footsteps behind me, and I feel Mark's presence before he even speaks. His hand rests gently on my lower back, a familiar touch that should comfort me, but right now, it only adds to the weight pressing down on my chest. I turn to face Mark, his green eyes searching mine with an intensity that makes my breath hitch. "Let's head back to the blanket," he murmurs, his voice low and steady, guiding me with that gentle pressure on my back. I nod, though my legs feel unsteady as we walk the short distance back to where the others are gathered. My mind is a storm of questions, each one crashing against the next, but I can't find the words to ask them. What is this tension building around us? What am I walking into? As we settle back onto the blanket, I can't shake the feeling that every eye is on me. The men have resumed their quiet chatter, their voices a low hum that blends with the rustling leaves, but I catch the way their attention keeps drifting my way. It's subtle at first, small smirks tugging at the corners of their mouths, quick glances that linger just a heartbeat too long. But it builds, a charged energy in the air that I can't ignore, like static before a storm. My palms are slick with sweat now, and I wipe them on my jeans, hoping no one notices. My breath comes in shallow bursts, and I reach for my glass of wine again, the cool liquid doing little to steady the tremor in my hands. I take a sip, then another, the sharp taste grounding me for just a moment before the unease creeps back in. Mark sits close beside me, closer than before, his presence both a shield and a weight. His hand rests on my knee, a gesture that feels familiar yet strangely possessive in this moment, his fingers pressing just firm enough to make me hyper-aware of every point of contact. I glance at him, searching for reassurance in those secretive green eyes, but all I find is a quiet intensity, a look that seems to say he's waiting for something just as much as I am. My heart thuds against my ribs, a frantic rhythm I can't control, and I force myself to focus on the small details around me, the way the blanket feels rough beneath me, the faint scent of citrus from the fruit bowl nearby, anything to keep from spiraling. Then I see Ethan approaching again, his tall frame casting a shadow as he moves with a deliberate ease. This time, he doesn't just pass by. He sits directly across from me, his long legs stretched out casually, boots crossed at the ankles. He reaches up and removes his sunglasses, revealing a pair of intense blue eyes that cut through the haze of my thoughts like a blade. They lock onto mine, holding my gaze for a moment too long, and I feel stripped bare, vulnerable in a way I can't explain. There's a raw edge to his stare, something that feels both dangerous and magnetic, and I'm caught in it, unable to look away. My skin prickles with heat despite the cool breeze, and I'm torn between the urge to shrink back and a strange pull to lean into whatever this is. It's like standing too close to a flame. Part of me knows I could get burned, but another part is mesmerized by the glow. Mark's hand tightens slightly on my knee, pulling my attention back to him. He leans in, his breath warm against my ear as he speaks in a voice so low it's almost a whisper. "Are you okay with this?" he asks, the words heavy with implication. My mind reels. Okay with what? I don't fully grasp what this means, but the way he says it, the weight in his tone, suggests I have a choice, though the pressure of his gaze, the way his thumb brushes against my knee, makes it feel like I don't. My throat tightens, words caught behind a wall of uncertainty, and all I can manage is a slow nod. It's not agreement, not really, just a reflex, a way to buy time while my thoughts scramble to catch up. His eyes search mine for a beat longer, and I see something flicker there. Satisfaction, maybe, or anticipation. The wind picks up suddenly, a sharp gust that sends a shiver down my spine. The trees around us sway, their branches creaking and rust. I'm sitting there on the blanket, the rough fabric scratching against my palms, my heart hammering so hard it feels like it might break free from my chest. The wind is still whipping through the trees, their whispers a constant murmur around us, like they're in on whatever is about to happen. Ethan's piercing blue eyes are still locked on mine, holding me captive in a way that makes my skin burn despite the chill in the air. I can feel Mark beside me, his hand a steady weight on my knee, his breath still lingering from that whispered question. "Are you okay with this?" The words echo in my mind, looping over and over as I try to piece together what this even means. My nod from moments ago feels like a betrayal to myself, a step into something I don't fully understand, but it's too late to take it back now. Ethan shifts, his movements slow and deliberate, and before I can process it, he's standing again, towering over me for just a second before he lowers himself to kneel beside me on the blanket. His presence is overwhelming, a force that seems to pull the air from my lungs. I feel the heat of him, the nearness, and then his hand is on my arm, firm but not forceful, a touch that sends a shockwave through every nerve in my body. I freeze, my breath catching in my throat, waiting for the instinct to pull away to kick in. But it doesn't. Instead, there's this pull, this magnetic draw that keeps me rooted in place. My mind a chaotic swirl of confusion, and something else, something primal I can't name. I steal a glance at Mark, my heart pounding with the expectation of seeing hurt or anger in those familiar green eyes. But what I find instead stops me cold. There's no trace of jealousy, no flicker of betrayal. Instead, there's a quiet encouragement, a look that seems to say he's not just okay with this. He wants it. It's a silent permission that hits me like a punch, both horrifying and electrifying in the same breath. My stomach twists, a knot of guilt tightening, but beneath it, there's a thrill, a rush of something forbidden that I've never felt before. I'm caught between what I thought I knew about myself and this uncharted territory unfolding right here under the open sky. The forest clearing seems to close in around us, the whispering trees bearing witness as Ethan's touch lingers, his hand sliding just a fraction, a gesture that speaks volumes without a single word. I'm hyper-aware of everything, the rustling leaves above, the distant call of a bird cutting through the stillness, the way my own heartbeat thunders in my ears like a drum. The other men, Caleb, Ryan, and the rest, stand at a distance near the lake, their silhouettes dark against the shimmering water, like guardians or spectators, I can't tell which. They don't move, don't speak, just watch with an eerie stillness that makes my skin prickle. It's as if they've always known this moment was coming, as if they've been waiting for it just as much as Mark has. Mark himself is seated on a separate blanket now, just a few feet away, his posture relaxed but his gaze intense, fixed on me with a focus I've never seen before. Those green eyes burn into me, not with anger, but with something deeper, something that makes my chest tighten. He's watching, taking in every detail, and I can feel the weight of his stare like a physical touch. It's surreal. This moment stretching out like a dream I can't wake from, where boundaries I thought were unbreakable are crumbling right before my eyes. What happens next feels like it's outside of time, a collision of raw emotion and unspoken desires playing out in the open air of this secluded clearing. It's not just about the physical closeness with Ethan, though that's undeniable. A dance of nearness and tension that leaves no room for misinterpretation. It's about the breaking of something inside me, a wall I didn't even know I'd built, shattering under the weight of this moment. Every brush, every shared breath feels amplified, like the forest itself is holding its breath along with me. The guilt is there. As the intensity of that charged moment with Ethan begins to fade, I find myself sitting back on the blanket beside Mark, my breath still uneven, my mind a tangled mess of emotions. The sun is dipping lower now, painting the lake in hues of gold and amber, a breathtaking contrast to the storm still raging inside me. I glance around, noticing the men starting to pack up, their movements precise and almost mechanical, as if what just unfolded here was nothing out of the ordinary. They fold blankets, stow away the cooler, and gather their gear with a detached efficiency that unnerves me. It's like they've done this 1,000 times before, like this was just another chapter in a story they've all read. Mark and I remain on our blanket, a small island of stillness amid their activity. His hand finds mine, his fingers intertwining with my own, and I feel the warmth of his skin grounding me. His thumb traces slow, deliberate circles on the back of my hand, a gesture so familiar yet so loaded with new meaning after today. I look at the lake, watching the last rays of sunlight dance across the water, and a strange calm settles over me. It's not peace exactly, but a quiet acceptance, a realization that I've crossed a threshold I can't uncross. And the weight of what I've done, what we've done, sits heavy on my shoulders, but it's not the burden I expected. I thought I'd be drowning in regret by now, suffocating under a wave of shame for letting things unfold the way they did. I braced myself for that familiar sting of guilt to tear through me, to make me question everything I thought I knew about myself. But it's not there. Instead, there's something else, something I can't quite name at first, a sense of discovery, raw and unfiltered. It's like I've peeled back a layer of myself I didn't know existed, revealing a side of me that's been waiting in the shadows all this time. And it's not just about me. It's about Mark too. About us. About what we're capable of when we step outside the lines we've drawn around our lives. I've seen a new facet of him today, a depth to his desires and his trust in me that I never imagined. Those green eyes of his, always holding secrets, seem to shimmer with a shared understanding now. A bond forged in the heat of this unexpected moment. I turn to him, catching the way the fading light catches the flecks of gray in his hair, and I feel a surge of something fierce and tender all at once. He meets my gaze, his expression softer now, less guarded than it was earlier, and he speaks in a voice so gentle it almost gets lost in the rustling of the trees. Are you ready to try it in the mountains next time? There's a playful lilt to his tone, a lightness that belies the weight of the question, but I know he means it. My heart skips, not out of fear, but out of a burgeoning curiosity that's taken root deep inside me. The mountains, a new frontier, a different kind of wildness. I can already picture it, the jagged peaks piercing the sky, the crisp, thin air biting at my skin, the sense of being utterly untethered from the world below. And with Mark by my side, with this newfound connection pulsing between us, I wonder what other boundaries we might push, what other hidden parts of ourselves we might uncover. I look into his eyes, those piercing green depths that have always held a mystery, and I see something more now, a shared hunger, a mutual daring that wasn't there before. Or maybe I just couldn't see it until today. A smile tugs at my lips, unbidden but genuine, and I don't hesitate as I nod. It's not just agreement, it's an invitation to whatever comes next, a willingness to dive deeper into this uncharted territory we've stumbled upon together. I'm curious, more than I've been in years, about where this path might lead, about how far we can go before the edges start to blur even more than they already have. The men have finished packing now, their gear loaded into duffel bags slung over shoulders. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.